7. Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is the budget meeting 1 on October 12th at 12:30 p.m. Quick, so let's go ahead and start. And do we start with your lines, Jesse? With the, you want to go through yours?
Sure.
Then we'll do Bob's. So let's see, let me pull up the spreadsheet. And
Did you get my email?
Yeah.
That's your email.
I did. Thank you.
oops. Do that.
Yeah, it was just so small. This don't.
Oh my goodness, sorry guys, I'm struggling here a little bit.
Trying to get it up on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Well,
going
if there's
on.
nobody
There's
joining
nobody.
us, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
That looks like that's supposed to be the spreadsheet there, 2024.
And we all have copies.
Okay, got one more thing here. Okay,
Yes. Was it here?
Yep. Yeah, oh,
Is it over there? Is it over here? Spread out. There's Michelle.
she's on her way.
Hi. Hey, people.
Get one of the battery levels. Mark, do we need to have it up on Zoom?
I guess,
I
not
mean, there's
necessarily.
nobody
Do we
else.
want to just walk through it then?
Yeah, let's just do it.
Okay,
Unless somebody wants.
Well, if
Sign in
somebody
later.
comes, then we'll worry about it.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Jesse. I just, I'm very frustrated by not having that up, but anyway,
So I have asked for clerk equipment, A1410.2. I had put in for money for a new laptop. Mark and I discussed it a little bit earlier today, and there's actually money in the budget this year. If I ordered it before next budget season, just pay for it, order it now.
Go for it.
So that can stay as is. I'm not gonna ask for that in there anymore.
Mark, don't we have a separate IT line anyway?
yeah, you want to follow up on that thought from our discussion? We've asked the computing center for audit of our computers, and our discussion today and with Velvet is that we're getting on to be, I think our computers, we had a bunch of them replaced in 2020. So I was gonna get I was thinking, one, ask computing center for their recommendation of it getting on a rotation cycle.
Yeah.
And we're thinking maybe we want to rotate 2 next year to get the thing started, to get the rotation cycle started. So I will get that number and
Okay.
for both the amount for computer and the number of computers, and make sure that's in the IT line.
Yeah, because I don't see any reason to divide that up between departments. Just have one IT line.
And I also asked for a line under the personnel services for records management, and that's a 1460.1. And I have asked for $1,500, and this would be for the purpose of tracking hours and devoting, the time devoted to FOIL requests. And
So this would be,
we would need,
Yeah.
So to do it for, tracking hours, I would just need you guys to decide to set a wage rate for that. Whether it being myself or somebody else comes in, Velvet's assistance in with FOIL, just some, a wage for that position.
Yeah, so instead of just having this willy-nilly all here and there, we'll actually know
Right,
what we're paying for and who we're paying.
right.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
and it'll offer compensation
Yeah.
for this separate service, so seems reasonable.
And we've always said all along that we want something like that anyway to help you out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that certainly seems reasonable and modest to me. and I
Very
think
modest.
We can work with it.
So what's the amount, which is the line, or is it just,
It's 1460.1. Under in the records. Right there,
okay, got it.
Personal services,
Yeah, but the amount now is 0.
right, so that's why I'm asking for $1,500.
And I would think that as time went on during the year, if that got stressed, that budget line got stressed, then
Yeah. We can adjust.
we'd remain flexible with it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Where would the money come from if it's not enough?
town board contractual or personnel services from town. No, I think we could do it from contingency.
Part,
And there are other, I think plenty of flexibility.
and that's it for me.
That sounds great. Is that it?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Hardly complicated enough.
Good,
Well, that was way too easy.
What's that, Bob?
That was too easy.
That was good. I'm gonna go grab myself a hard copy, I think, cause yeah.
If
You think I need it?
if you grab the hard copy, it would make it easier on mine, cause you can go down through them.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about them there rather than me spewing out. We can just start at the top.
I
of
can
the
make
list
us
and go
both,
down.
make those copies and
Whatever.
I'll do that.
I wouldn't mind a hard copy too.
Yeah, so, okay, I'll be right back.
We have an hour trying to read this sideways.
Or would you rather have a copy like Cal has, like Williamson, with larger print?
No, I'm fine with small print.
Either way, okay.
Yep.
You have 3 minutes. Don't talk to anyone.
I have one eye for far away and one eye for close up. Works out pretty well.
I left my faraway glasses at home. I don't need them.
Well, if I wear both contacts for far away, then I can't see close up, then I need reading glasses. But if I don't put a contact in, so.
So you put one contact in your right and a different one.
Not on the left.
Maybe she just tried a different eye.
Right, my eye doctor said that was fine. So. I mean, I can't see like really details on the birds sometimes, you know.
Yeah, well.
But. You know, what happened was I was trying to have my reading glasses on, I was trying to clean out Star's hook. My reading glasses fell off. Dark.
Yeah,
Under-
the horse put a foot down.
Well, I was trying to like kick him out of the way. Or she put her foot down. Then I just was like, this is freaking, so for a while I had a contact lens, but listen, or I had bifocal contact lenses. But then I didn't put one in for a while and it worked better.
Well,
So,
I never had any luck with bifocals with farm work, because you're,
yeah. Well, the bifocal contacts work pretty well, you know,
Yeah.
to think about it, but, anyway,
oh, they have bifocal contacts?
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
okay.
weighted. So
Oh,
they
wow.
swing around, down, anyway. No. I went down to DSS yesterday with a woman and they can't help her because she doesn't have documentation of where she's been living. She needs receipts. How is somebody homeless supposed to provide documents? I don't
Pension
know.
for where
I've
they're
got to
living.
call into the,
Yeah, no,
The system doesn't work for people that need it.
well,
It
it's,
works for the ones that don't need it, that take advantage of it.
we were there for a long
It's
time.
just flawed.
I mean, I can say I've seen her living out there, but not for 3 months. And she doesn't have the receipts from a year ago.
you see receipts for your utility bill.
Right.
Give her mine.
Well, she's living out in Shindig Hollow for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
She's 58.
She's the one on the bicycle.
Hmm?
She on a bicycle.
No,
There's another lady that's lived out there for like 3-4 years. Actually,
how does she
going
make
on
it through the
5.
winter?
Oh, she doesn't through the winter.
She gets on her bike and she'll pedal somewhere and she goes somewhere. I'm not sure if it's like Portland or something for the winter.
Huh?
And then she pedals back out. She goes to Shindagan and she'll be all over.
Yeah,
She elderly?
Mhm.
I think I saw her once. I stopped because she was pushing
She's
the bike
only
up
got,
the hill
like,
and I
flags
stopped
and
to
everything all over her bike. and
offer.
She does have a gallon of milk, be 90 degrees. She'll have a gallon of milk. Once you quartered to the seat of the. But I guess she likes that lifestyle. She doesn't owe anybody anything. Which I guess at the end of the day, it'd be kind of nice not owing anybody anything. Well, didn't have nothing.
flush toilet's really nice.
It is. So the shower
Yeah.
with hot water. All right, that was like 4.5 minutes.
Thank you.
Mhm. Multiple copies there.
Oh,
You went EA, right?
Are you starting with DA, Bob? He has some A lines too.
Oh, okay.
we can start wherever you,
Wherever you want.
wherever
I
you.
forgot about the A line.
I think A will actually be pretty easy.
Okay.
So 50-10.1.
Starting in the A's would be 33-10.4.
Yep.
And that one, I believe we left at the same number.
It's down 500. It's from 5,500 to 5,000.
Okay. That's,
Okay.
About the same.
that should be fine.
Okay.
For anybody that doesn't know, the one thing that we do use this account for is road signs.
Right.
Right.
Um, which for some reason are worth gold.
Which what?
They're gold. I received 6 right to farm signs yesterday.
Oh, great. Great.
Oh, you did?
Yes, they are $175 a piece.
Oh, really? Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
You're welcome.
Yep.
If you add that up over how many originally they said they wanted, it would have been way over the budget.
Crazy.
Well, that's crazy.
I'm interested to see them.
How about Bobby,
Is this new? Is this a new handout?
Speed limit
No,
signs, like
the same.
when we change the speed limit, how much are those? Are
But
they
you can have a new copy.
Depends, I ordered a bunch of them. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I think they're right around that $45 or $50 mark.
Well, that's better, that sounds
Yeah.
better.
So it's better, but it's, I mean, those signs are half the, you know,
Yeah.
a third of the size of those right to farm signs.
Oh, these are big.
Why are farm signs so expensive?
They're big.
Big bag, they're 36 by 36,
Okay,
They're huge.
Wow,
so,
well,
that's big.
but again, if you're gonna put all that information on a sign, it's gotta be big enough to read it, so. That was my thing before about putting so many of them up, that
Yep.
it gets to be it congests things more than it's actually gonna help, so.
Yep.
Alright, so we left, or we put that one at 5,000. 50-10.1. That went in at 2%.
Mhm.
I know there was conversation about a 3%. I think a 3% wouldn't be crazy, I mean. Insurance alone is up, I don't know how many, what's that, 18%, 14%? So, I mean, at some point, we're all going backwards. So,
You're talking about wages in
I'm
general.
talking about wages.
Or wages.
Yeah, we're gonna be
I'm, I
considering.
mean, I say this on A50-10.1, but I'm actually talking straight across the board as far as personal services in general.
Yep.
So for A and DA services. Excuse me.
So we agreed to consider that going forward, so. Yep.
now, COLA just came out with a social security rate, the increase of this today was 3.2, I think.
Right, so that alone, then adding the, you know. The insurance premium increase and everything else, and eventually you're making less money than you did the year before,
Uh,
so. A50-10.2 is at 550. Which. I think we can leave right there, which I believe you did. I don't think that we actually changed any of the other A accounts, I think we left them all the same,
Correct, as far as I can tell.
so as long as those are all the same, then that was fine with me.
We talked about the IT line for computer equipment. How's your computer equipment down there?
Mine isn't terrible. I think the oldest thing I have is this laptop. We had to replace a computer. Jesse's old computer, we had to replace a couple years ago. So that one's replaced and mine is working fine at the moment, so. I think we'll be all right as far as next year, computer wise.
And that'll all be covered by the IT overview anyways.
Moving on to the DA accounts. DA 5110.1 personal services. Again, we have to put that in as a 2%. Because that's what we did contract wise, so again, we left that one the same.
Okay.
So I will skip over the personal service and. DA 5110.4 is a general repair account. Which I call my road repair account.
That's called contractual, is that?
Yes.
On here, yeah.
Where did it go? Let me get back to the manual list. Right here. We have that one down. To
I moved that one down based, it was a judgment call based on the fact that we split out fuel last year and that based on expenditures and projected through the year, so.
So that one, we can't drop 28%. The reason for doing the fuel accounts last year was because everything else went up
Mhm.
so drastically, that we were taking fuel out of that, so we created that fuel account. But this account never goes down until the end of the year. We still have about 2,500 ton of limestone to truck in from Seneca Falls. There's pipe that comes out of that. So I suggested that we leave it at the 189. So that is
How did the fuel, go? We still got money from that left over, or?
we may have a little bit.
So that was about correct then, or 75,000?
What's that?
That was about correct then?
The fuel,
Yeah.
the fuel line, we put it at 75,000. And I believe I can try to pull it up. It's gonna be right close to that, so. The one thing that we're doing this year is we take the fuel account or the fuel checks from fire departments. And Mark puts those back into that account, so. It's kind of balanced that account out a little bit.
So Bobby, what I just don't understand. So if we add up. 10.4 and 10.41. That comes to like 210. And last year. It was. So what I can't remember is when that line got split, Mark,
It was last year.
in last year's budget. So last year's budget then was a total of 265 between the two lines. Is that right?
That's this year's budget. Last year,
2023, I'm looking at the 2023 lines between the two, between,
189 plus 75.
yeah, so that's this year's.
265.
yeah, that's what I meant,
But the year before, it would have been 189.
This year's budget.
Okay.
What's
So what I'm trying to do is compare this year's budget to next year's budget.
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
I
See what I mean?
Well, the year before was actually 178.
264.
Yeah.
If you're adding.
So I
Big
think
jump.
the account itself. I guess, like me and Mark kind of look at it a little different. I take the personal service part out of it. Because it's a separate line.
Yeah.
You know, cause otherwise we're adding you know, if we kind of bunch that all together, we're really adding 2% to the whole thing, and we really need to add the 2% to the personal service part, so
No,
I.
I would do that.
I kind of keep them separate,
Sure.
and I look at the personal service line, which just goes off their contract is, you know, that's a guaranteed 2%,
Yeah,
so it's really. Whatever those lines are, it's not a question, it's a 2% increase. But the 189 itself, last year, like I said, we split it, we made that fuel account for multiple reasons, the price of pipe. Has went up. Anything that involves plastic is ridiculous money. The plastic pipes went up, the price of gravel went up, price of everything just went
so
up.
I see, so pipes is included under contractual.
Anything that has to do with highway repair.
Okay, I thought that was all, okay.
Yeah, that's highway repair, that's
Okay.
gravel, that's pipes,
Yeah, okay, I
that's,
get it now.
that everything involves that.
Okay,
And also anything that gets delivered that has to be trucked in, the outlook for transportation costs.
Right, which we try to stay away from that. But any extra blacktop comes out of that number. This year we changed a few things. We did some oil and stone under chips. Which after I did all that paperwork, we will not do next year. Normally I take that. This 189 normally funds all of our oil and stone projects. As well as pipes and as well as gravel, so.
so I guess just to help clarify then. The 189 in this year's budget,
There's 189 in this year's budget.
right,
yes.
the projected expenditures through the end of the year. Are roughly 42,000.
So
So I
there's,
guess what Mark was doing in this.
no, I get it, yeah, I get it,
I'm trying to understand what you're recommending is all.
I'm recommending that we leave it at the 189.
But I guess just my question, Bobby, is we had it at 189, we've spent 42. We'll spend 42.
We've spent more than 42, this number isn't right on here,
That's through August, doesn't have September's.
right, so, and there's still.
Oh, through August.
Yeah, so on my sheet, it's through 7/31. On the sheet I have here, so,
Wait, this one says expenditure 8/31, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is the next version updated with those numbers.
And that's 27.
so. I guess what I'm saying is there's still a lot of stuff that comes out of this. Some of this we hold until the end of the year so that we make sure that we don't have any. Catastrophic failures, you know, as far as pipes or anything like that. But there is a stack of soup coat bills, there's a stack of a whole bunch of bills that haven't even come out of that number yet, and I haven't. Even got the ones for the pipe or the stone yet, so. We're definitely spending more than $42,000, I don't know. So I guess that's our,
You have 189 in this year's budget to cover the expenses throughout the year.
Right.
Next year, you're projecting it to be,
I'm projecting it to be about the same, I'm not asking for an increase on it, I'm just asking for it to be the same.
Okay, I mean, I think, I just want something that's reasonable. From 2 years ago, we've gone from 189 to 189 plus 75 for those two lines. So that's like,
So I
So
mean,
what's the 75 for?
that's for fuel.
Okay,
So we split that out just so we could track fuel separately and
But-
keep,
okay,
but
but before that, fuel was included in the 189?
so we used to take fuel and
Correct.
we used to kind of split it between summertime and wintertime. And we never had an actual fuel account, and now we have a fuel account that is just strictly for fuel itself. I mean, if we go back 2 years, we're paying twice the amount for fuel that we did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I never got a $10,000 bill for fuel. I just got a $10,000 bill last month, and that doesn't even count this month. So that's where we had to do something to cover that.
That's totally understandable. My only, my consideration. This all just has to do with balancing the whole budget, not this particular line, is if we're gonna end up putting $90,000 into reserve. from this line
Mhm.
after this year. It would be better for the taxpayers to try to do that in advance.
I know, I get how it
Then
works.
count on reserve to cover any overspending. You hear what I'm trying to figure out?
But I also don't wanna go into the year with inflated prices on everything else and then, well, I mean, I don't know.
You know, I get what you're saying, I'm just trying to think out loud.
Right, I mean, we have certain things that need to be done every year, some of the stuff this year. We, like I said, we did some oil and stone
Yeah,
through CHIPS money because we had some rollover from last year. So we did some of that. Next year, we won't have that extra to do that, so. And again, nothing's going down. It seems like every time I call, the price of pipes goes up every time we do it. So I guess that's my recommendation. I'm not asking for an increase, I was just asking for the same thing. So,
I guess. I mean, you're saying by the end of the year. That number is gonna be 189 essentially.
it's gonna be close to it, that's what I'm trying to say. And ultimately, what I'm saying is the prices are not going down, they're going up.
Sure, I
So,
That's a fact of life, I understand that.
So it's an increase of 75,000.
Pardon me?
It's basically an increase of 75,000.
Right.
Increase, I'm understanding that correctly.
Exactly.
which wasn't an increase because we took it from, we created that account through fund balance.
Well, I mean, this is
So-
budgeted now. This is budgeted now, so
Which-
we're,
Which essentially, we could refund, we can, if you're worried about the 75 as far as that fuel account. We can replenish that account from fund balance again, because I know there's money in there, we can do the same exact thing. Which, if I'm not mistaken, you're already taking 140,000 of fund balance to make this work.
well, that's end of the budgeting stage calculation. At this point, we're just trying to figure out what's appropriate for each line.
Right, which I
So
get.
that's all I'm asking.
I understand.
So, yeah, it's a $75,000 increase for
Okay,
basically fuel plus the other contractual from 2 years ago. Right?
Right, it's not an increase from last year. There is no increase from last year.
well, except.
It's an increase from 2 years ago.
Right,
It's not
that's
an
what I
increase
meant,
from
that's
last.
what I meant, so,
Yeah,
last year we established this year's budget, so.
Maybe we could use the years instead
Yeah.
of last year and next year and this year. because
yeah,
it makes
say this
sense.
year and next year.
Yeah,
Then we'll be,
Let's-
then
let's
we'll
just-
understand.
let's just use,
This
20
year. This year. and
we could
next
just say 2022, 2023, 2024.
to be
you know what,
precise.
this is a really
Well,
dumb,
to make it
sorry,
very
this is a
clear.
dumb question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What does your fiscal year go from? Is it calendar year or is it, okay,
Or just calendar,
okay,
yeah, I think if you're in a village, then it's the other way.
okay. I mean, because sometimes it's,
Yeah.
June, July 1st.
Right, right,
Federal budget is October to October.
Yeah, so. So it wasn't a dumb question.
No.
no,
It's just I didn't
It
know
happens.
the answer.
There are no dumb questions, I'm just figuring out the budget.
Keep going through your lines. I have a half an hour.
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay,
Alright, so I'm at that one, I don't know where you guys are at that one, but
we'll talk this over.
okay, we have your recommendation.
It's very clear.
moving down, I think. Capital 5112.2. Just so everybody knows, that is what we call our CHIPS account, which covers CHIPS, PWR, Pave New York, the new POP. There's a whole bunch kind of combined together. And this really doesn't, it's not a budgetary number, it's almost a number that we put in and we get reimbursed for it, so.
It's a placeholder.
Right, and just for record keeping sake, we need to change that 200 number. Because we are way over that 200 number, so
Do you have a number for next year?
I will get you the number.
Okay,
I don't have it with me exactly
That's
today,
fine.
but
just,
we're talking about
send me whatever the total is.
Right, I mean, we're past the 200 mark, we're at that 380, almost 400 mark. So by the time you add
Okay.
everything together, so again, it's a placeholder,
Yeah, either
Well-
way, we can do it by a budget adjustment next year or whatever,
but
so,
at the same time, these are all things that we pay for upfront, and then we get reimbursed for them. So I will get you that number, Mark.
did everybody understand what's going on there? So whatever that number is, which is allowed number by the state, we'll put it in a revenue line and an expense line, and they cancel each other's
Yeah.
out, so just to.
And that number changes every year, the state kind
Yeah.
of changes, I mean. We lobby for money and then we get some more, it just kind of changes, so. That number constantly is up, it usually up, so.
Or they change the rule, Michelle, or they change the rules for what they reimburse you for.
Okay,
That was that one, again, that's a personal service line. Which I don't think we changed, The equipment line, we have at 200. You will never hear me say that that's enough, but
We knew that.
you all know it was coming.
That's shocking.
I would always like to see an increase on that. I think probably at the board meeting, we'll have some discussions of what we need to look for in the future. If you guys want to raise it, I am more than happy.
This is the board meeting.
Right, I am more than happy if you raise that number. You didn't change it, you left it alone, I will take that. We'll make do.
You can live with it.
Next one is 5130.4. We're real close on that number, that's the number that we've been trying to get down. As you can see in 2022, we were over. Again, this year, it's gonna be real close, I'm working hard to hit that 60 number.
And Bobby, can you just, since Michelle hasn't done this before, can you just explain what that's for?
So that account is for every repair that needs to be done to highway equipment.
okay,
All the trucks, tractors, any equipment that requires parts, that's what that account goes for, which in all honesty, we do a lot better than most other towns, so most other towns are almost double that number. So I'm fine with that number. Like I said, if it goes over, it's gonna go over by just a tiny bit, so we can leave that number alone. Moving down. The next one would be snow and ice.
Mhm.
We have that at 190. I believe you left it at 190.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly fine with that, but. Next year. We may wind up moving some money. This account in the.
Which number is this, Bobby?
5142.
42.4.
Okay.
It's a snow and ice
Right,
contractual. That covers,
Yeah.
anything that has to do with snow and ice, not just salt. This line and the DA 5110.4. Kind of work together. Everybody knows that there's gonna be a big shakeup with Cargill.
Yeah.
We're guaranteed
Yeah.
salt for this year. And I say this year, I mean, from now going into next year. But at the tail end of next year, I honestly do not know what's gonna happen. That may take our salt number from $62 a ton and change it to $100 a ton. I don't have an answer for that. But if this account right now goes over, then we would take money from the DA 5110.4. Which is our road repair account, which kind of coincides with our snow and ice account. They're kind of parallel accounts.
Okay.
That's the other reason for leaving that at the 189 is I already know that we're gonna have to steal something from somewhere to cover that 190. The only other one that may change a little bit, and this is peanuts in the big scheme of it, is DA 5680.4. We went a long time without anybody being picked by the computer. This year, we're in the hot seat, so we've been picked multiple times.
What are you talking about?
To do what?
Drug testing.
Drug test.
What? Oh,
Drug testing, which is done through the federal pool, and you're just picked out, so, the last.
oh, this is 5680.4, right?
5680.4.
Okay,
That number may, I would,
that's a pretty small number, right, when they do that? What much is
I
it?
mean, it is, normally it used to be like $50,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, things have changed a little bit, I haven't seen the bill, and again, we've sent. The
We
last,
had one recently, I remember.
we
like
just
a
had
month-
two,
I
so
don't remember I remember the bill, I don't remember the
Oh.
number. It seems like it was 140 or something like that.
Really?
it's, yeah, I'll have to go back and look at it, but like I said, we did make a few phone calls and found out that some things weren't quite right with the way.
You,
things were
you guys
labeled.
looked weird or something?
I mean, I spent 2 days and I got things kind of realigned. I don't know what happened, but.
Oh,
somewhere
they
in
were
my
just-
mind It was, something got lost in the communication end from
Hmm.
the pool to the
So
pool of
redoing-
workers to.
Yeah.
But as I remember from the meeting at IC, there's also now another level of drug testing with marijuana and other drugs. that's
Right, so
being-
some things there are gonna.
It's not
change.
just, did the guy have a beer last night?
Hmm.
Or the person, it's,
No, it's kind of gotta be a little more, I guess, separated. It's gonna turn into something a little different than it is, but. I mean, for now, I guess we can leave it, but just keep in mind that that may run over just a little bit.
but there's huge drug testing protocols coming down the road.
So
Yeah, for drivers and stuff.
the snow and ice agreement. We have that in at 60.
That's, he's talking about DA
Oh,
2300,
I'm
correct?
sorry.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yes, DA 2300. And what that is we follow approximately 20 miles of county roads. And the county actually pays us we call it 60,000, but you know, the year in 2020 or 22, it was 80,000. I don't see that number changing unless the price of salt goes down. So I would assume that would be in that $80,000 range. Instead of the $60,000 range. But
You think it should be 60 or 80?
I think I mean, it's a revenue account, but
Right.
I think it should probably be increased. We haven't hit 60 in a while, so. But again, every time something goes up, I have to inflate that number, and I mean, I'm passing the buck, I'm passing it back to the county, so.
How much do we plow of other people's roads, Bobby,
It's probably about,
to go back and forth,
if I measured it out, it would be approximately 20 miles of county road.
and it's county road?
We just plow, we plow for the county that we get paid for, so to say. We do plow some roads for Danby and Richford, but it's a swap, so it just kind of washes itself out. We do a little bit for Dryden. But then Dryden does a little bit for us, so
Yeah.
we do all the stuff in Canaan for Dryden. Dryden does like the end of Snyder Hill and the end of Landon Road, Upper Landon Road for us, so it just kind of washes out, and no money changes hands.
So the, Upper Landon, it's up on the hill.
Northland.
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 Yeah, it's,
Yeah. They don't stop and then back.
No.
Not on that
So-
hill.
No.
we have basically 3 roads there, so there's
Yeah.
Feesmer, there's Landon, and there's Snyder Hill. And
So
Dryden.
that's why the county trucks go by, they're going from Landon over to Snyder Hill. or vice
Well, that's why the
versa.
Dryden trucks go by.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wondered why.
So they're plowing that for us.
Yeah.
But then
Okay.
we plow other stuff for them, so it's just a wash and we don't worry about it, we just take care of each
And
other.
all the roads that go through the state forest aren't plowed, right? Where are
Depends on how you go. So
Oh, Shindagan.
Shindagan is not
they?
plowed,
Right.
Braley Hill is plowed.
Oh, okay.
If I could change that, I would change it in a heartbeat. We plow it for one house that is completely at the other end of the 3.5 mile road. That's dirt that we plow all winter long.
That's why you have to do it.
But that's why we have to do it. That house is
Right.
in the town of Caroline and it's in the fire protection district for Brookendale, so it's gotta be accessible by fire truck.
So we couldn't swap that with another town.
What's that?
We couldn't swap that with another town.
No,
It's
because we
easiest
got,
for us.
yeah, it's just as easy for us to do it because we have to keep our end open.
Yeah.
And it goes from our end
To,
to 3/4 down the road, it stops, then it turns into Candor
mhm.
for a little ways, then it stops, then it goes back to us for a little bit and stops, and then it's Candor again. So it's crazy how the lines hit, but that's how the lines hit. And
Okay,
again, it's just as easy for us to plow. We have about 20 miles of dirt road. We don't plow all 20, but
mhm.
there's about not quite half of that that we plow off, so. Again, with that, going back to that. DA 5110.4, that's where that comes in. We try to take oil and stone, and eventually, I'm hoping in my terms here, I can get rid of 90% of the dirt roads. So that's been my plan from day one, so. We spend a ridiculous amount of money on dirt roads. Year after year after year to plow in the ditch, to go back the next year, to put the gravel back, it's you lose an inch of gravel a year. So anyway, back onto that, if we raise that revenue line up. Even if you put that at 70 or 75, would get us a little bit closer to where we're at.
Okay.
And then
But you had 85,
22 was 80,
and then you had
looks like we're on track. Oh, yeah, we've
Yeah.
already got 84 this year,
85.
85, yeah.
so we're at, last year if we go off what we've got here, we're at 84, shy of 85.
Yeah, I think 70 might be a good
And-
number.
And I still have, from now till the end of the year, that will be added to
There'll be
that.
more.
So.
Mm.
It just depends on what happens winter wise from now till then, so.
Just, it's nice not to have it fluffed, just so you're not counting on it though.
Right, yeah, I don't wanna fluff it
You want
too
to
much, but I don't.
budget,
Right.
I don't want
reserve,
it to be under budgeted
Right.
either because it counts against everything else, so. I just want that number.
Yeah.
Closer, and the DA.
but you don't want it to be
35
unrealistic, I get it.
Right.
So,
And then the DA 3105 is the other end. Of
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Chips number. Which we call capital improvements, which is DA 51.
Yep.
12.2, so again, those are just. Those numbers will get inflated to. Whichever number I give you, I can give that to you. Again, it doesn't change anything.
just gotta give it to me before we pass the budget.
Well, yeah, it's just a placeholder number, so. Again, all in all, I think we left everything exactly where it was last year, except for that. DA 5110.4, so.
Right,
That was the only one we changed.
so do you wanna, just describe, so everybody's thinking about it, like equipment for next year? Is that one snowplow, right? Or big-
I can do that if we're. Not gonna run out of time for anything else you need, but if.
No, I didn't know how much, I just wanted it to be on people's radar and
I mean,
so,
as everybody knows, we went through and we did the capital improvement. plan.
Michelle doesn't know.
Michelle doesn't know, we can probably have another meeting and, because it'll take forever to kind of run you through it, but I can give you kind of the basic, we come up with a plan that. We did a 5-year plan, we did a 7-year, 10-year, and a 12-year plan of how we would. Replace equipment. Because we were in kind of a bad spot where we had so much outdated equipment. And what the capital plan did. We did it 2 ways. We did everything kind of buying it outright, and then we did an installment plan. Which we got on 2 years ago. Basically 2 years ago. We replaced the highway truck. In 21. Before that, we were paying everything kind of upfront. So that number was around that $230,000 mark. And every time we replaced a truck, we had to come up with that. And then it left us nothing to replace all the smaller pieces of equipment. So in the end, we did this capital plan with installment payments, which allowed us to buy that truck in 21, making an average number of $50,000 payment per year rather than that 230. Which let us kind of use the remaining number to go through all the little stuff and replace that so that we weren't so far behind. And it's actually worked out great. The only problem is once COVID hit, it took this whole capital plan that I spent weeks and weeks and weeks in meetings, and we had all kind of a whole team together putting this all in. And it drastically changed where all my numbers fell. When I say
I
that,
mean, because prices went up.
well,
Is that
the prices went kind of crazy and the supply went crazy.
Right, at the time, yeah.
You know, we laid this all out so that, okay, in 21, we're gonna buy a truck, and in 23, we're gonna replace another truck, and they're gonna be staggered out, and we're gonna have these installment payments, and by the time we were done, it was great.
The board never did agree to do permanent installment payments.
Right, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is. We did that. The last purchase that we made.
Yeah.
And we've done it basically, we've done the same thing with the loader. We're replacing that yearly. And mine,
Do you anticipate that next year for the loader? Because we didn't do it this year,
we
right?
didn't do it this year, so this year we skipped trading that loader in because the numbers come in. And the number come in for 1 year. And this is how bad the prices have changed and the amount of increases in equipment. That price went from $18,000 the year before to $36,000. And I said, for $36,000, I will keep it a whole nother year. Because in 2 years, I'm gonna pay $40,000. So
Have you been able to tell whether the prices are leveling out?
they're not going quite as drastic as they were.
Yeah.
But they're still on that increase. There's constantly an increase.
They haven't gone down.
They have not gone down, and I keep bugging, all these salesmen, when are things gonna go down, or when are we gonna actually get stuff? And you just can't get an answer because they don't have an answer.
And the shortages are still there?
The shortages are still there, if not worse.
Huh.
We ordered a truck, what are we going on, a year and a half ago? We won't see that truck until the end of next year. If we're lucky, but I'm planning on that truck showing up before snow season of next year, but as of right now, it's not looking like that, so that just tells you how far.
Yeah.
So again, when I say it changed all my numbers, that's exactly what it did, so it took that truck from coming in 20, we had it in here as coming in 23, it's changed it to coming in 24, maybe 25, and it's made it so that it's kind of hard to do it, so.
But we still have.
The capital plan
We
proved
have a
what we
picture,
were,
we have a picture
Yeah.
of rotation.
we have a picture of what we need.
What's the equipment for next year?
The equipment for next year. There is one thing, like I said, we have to talk about whether we're gonna do another installment,
Well, there's gonna be 50,000 for the current installment.
right, which is on there, so that's automatically on there, that takes that 200 to the 150 mark. And then it just comes down to what we need. It's taking it out of this capital plan, but it's kind of moving, it's shuffling things around, which we've always done. We did buy a mowing tractor from the county 3 years ago. It was I don't think it was wore out, but it was extremely used when we got it, and it's been great for 3 years. That is one thing, we're having a hard time keeping those mowers together. We've mowed 140 miles. 140 miles of road.
So that one was like $17,000, right, from the county?
Right. So we got it, they were getting rid of it. We said it'll get us by until we get some things kind of straightened around. So it's done us great, but it is on that replacement list. We can still get a little bit of money out of it.
And it might be, could we get another one like that?
I talked to Stevenson Equipment this morning. 'Cause I've been waiting for a number, on a mower. There is some stuff out there. And some stuff I'm gonna try to kind of swap around. Again, we have a 1-ton ordered that we ordered back in the spring.
Hmm.
So we ordered that. Again, that whole supply thing, I get this thing that says, yeah, you're on the list, you're number
Yeah,
10,000 or whatever that number is. But that truck hasn't even gone into the assembly line yet. It's got our name on
and
it.
now there's a strike.
Right, you see where this whole thing just goes, it goes from great to terrible. So we're on it to get it, and we have the money for that 1-ton. I can replace that mowing tractor tomorrow for about 90,000 compared to 140,000. So the price of a new one is about 140.
Maybe we should go back to horses.
It'd be
We get some
great, but
sheep.
we're gonna have to get some more workers. You have to have a bunch of people to walk them around. But if you think about it, that tractor goes nonstop, and we mowed 4 times this year. So take your 140 lane miles of road, multiply that by the 4, I mean, it's a lot of wear and tear, and then. For that tractor alone, multiply that by 3, that'll give you how much we've done with that tractor alone, just in mowing.
Yeah, well, you know, we're gonna have to think about long-term, long-term is how to. When this all gets thrown in the mix again with the barn. And we're gonna have to
Yeah.
then
So,
figure out how to make choices to.
Right, so if-
funds for that.
as you guys
It's gonna be
know-
complicated.
I mean, you've seen. What we've kind of done over the last 4 years, and we've eliminated a lot of equipment and kind of paired things up together.
We've done a good,
So-
done a great job.
That's kind of what I'm trying to do. That mowing tractor also, when we do gravel roads, this tractor we have from the county doesn't do it very well, but it will do it. We use that to pull a rake, that we actually rake gravel before we actually roll it down. So it does some stuff other than mowing, but it's been great for the little bit of the investment that we put into it, but it is on the list to replace. The other thing that's on that list that's still kind of up in the air is we did order that truck, and we do have to decide if we're doing an installment with that truck as well, which I highly recommend. That's been my recommendation since I put forth this whole capital plan. So that leaves that to be decided on what comes out of that. So, the other thing that is desperately needed is a roller. We've been kind of getting ours by. Those prices are kind of all over, but we can buy something used. But it is on that list as well, but I can't,
What are those, what's the ballpark of those figures?
I mean, those. The county just bought one, and theirs was $175,000. And it goes down from there, just depends, it'll trickle down, just depends on how old you want to go back. Ours is extremely old, and we've just kind of kept it together, but thinking in the long run, that's something else that needs to be kind of worked into the mix somewhere, whether we do the same thing, find another used one. I'm not against buying a used roller, and we don't necessarily need to go buy a new one, but
What's the price of the 1-ton coming next year?
10.
have to look on my sheet, it's
Or
probably 90, I think.
That sounds about right, brings
By the
about
time we had it outfitted,
85 or 90.
it was 90, and I did switch a few things around. I'll have to go down and get the sheet out again, but this time, what we did to save some money, originally, we were just getting a truck that was outfitted by basically the dealer. And we switched that to get it outfitted in Auburn by a company that outfits the trucks, and it actually saved us
Oh, that's
money.
good.
So we were able to shave a little bit off, so,
So what do you, sorry. What's your estimated expenditures on equipment for 24?
my estimated expenditure is keeping it under that 200. Like I said, I told you the pieces that we gotta do, but I gotta fit it together, but I have to know some other key pieces before I can fit that all together. So if
But
we're
to
gonna do
do
two,
that, we'd have to lease everything, is that what I'm hearing?
what's that?
To make that happen, we would have to lease everything.
I mean,
Is that what I?
again, that's my recommendation is doing those
But
installments.
is that how you're thinking?
That's where I'm looking, because we could make an installment. And get multiple pieces. That was the whole plan in the beginning, was to be able to replace multiple pieces per year, but actually spend less money than buying everything else. But I gotta know if we're gonna go installment on that next truck. Because that next truck payment could come right out next year, so. When we did that truck
Things
before,
have changed so much that we'll have to have a discussion about it. That's all.
right,
The
so,
board needs to make.
But
a
I-
decision
yeah,
one
I
way or
mean-
the other.
My numbers for everything you mentioned are way more than what you, 200,000.
exactly,
So, I mean,
So-
but, you know, we pay for financing too, so,
well, we also pay for. You're paying it one way or another, we've had this conversation before, we don't have enough time to do it today,
right,
so.
but,
It's the same money, it's just what you can get out of your money. You're either gonna pay, you're worried about paying interest on an installment,
yeah.
but if you don't replace that piece of equipment, you're spending more than what you're paying in interest in repairs.
But if-
We've already gone
I'm
through all
just
that.
saying that if, you know, it is so, you know, there's our deliberation is about what we can do with the resources we have and, you know, what,
That's exactly where I'm at.
so,
So that's why we did the whole capital plan, and that's why I pushed towards installments. Was because it actually made, it made more sense than buying anything outright, because you have to piggy bank your money to buy anything outright. And to prove it, we ordered a truck that is gonna be, it's way over what we had before, and we couldn't actually get a set pricing. Because the manufacturers would not give us a price when we ordered the truck.
right, so,
There was an increase every year for that truck. So when that truck shows up, it is not gonna be $227,000. It's not gonna be $234,000, which is what we paid for the last one.
right,
It's gonna be $280,000 or $290,000.
but whatever it is, we'll either pay for it outright or we'll pay for it under installment.
Right, my point was, if we take $300,000, which we do not have. There is not $300,000, you're not putting, next year, you're not putting an extra $300,000 or an extra $200,000 into the piggy bank to purchase that truck. If that truck shows up in 24,
Uh-huh.
we gotta pay for it, so either we pay $50,000 or the 60,000, whatever that number is, I'm just using 50 because it's an easy number.
Right,
So whether we pay $50,000 or we all come to the table and we have to come up with $300,000.
right,
Makes more sense to
which
pay,
we have,
well, if we have all that extra money, then we should never be arguing in a budget meeting over how much money we spend in a year on equipment. Because clearly we don't have that money to just dole out, we never have.
no, it's,
That was the whole reason we went with an installment payment on the last one. So when I say it's the same money, it's the same money whether you pay interest or you pay repairs. Because in order to get the equipment,
okay, so, you
we,
know,
we bought a grade all for $369,000 or $364,000.
but we're not talking about when it's replaced. Either way, we're cutting down on repairs by replacing the equipment. And then we pay
Right.
for it either with an installment plan
Right,
or we pay for it outright.
right,
If we line up two installment plans together, that's $100,000 each year that we're paying for equipment over a 5-year span.
exactly.
So, you know, it's,
But you're not changing anything by buying it outright, other than having to get that money up front. That's the only difference. And you're worried about a little bit of interest.
I mean, it was like $50,000 of interest over the payment.
I can tell you that truck 264 has more repairs in it than what you're paying in interest.
Okay, so I understand that repairs cost money, but I mean,
So in the big
either way,
scheme, in the
it's
big
gonna
scheme,
happen at
of-
a certain time. I'm not talking about changing the time of replacement,
I get it.
right?
What I'm saying
I
is,
think we
I'm just trying to
understand the
understand.
argument. You know, the board's just gonna have to have this conversation.
right, yeah. So there's some things that, is 200 enough for that equipment repair? You know exactly what I'm gonna say, no, because exactly,
Equipment.
those other things don't fit into that to be able to purchase them. So I have to find out exactly what we're purchasing as far as installments. And then I will have to piece together whether it's a used roller or a used mower
or a used something to fit into that. I'm not beyond buying used equipment for the secondary stuff. I
Mhm.
said before, I didn't wanna buy used trucks because you're just buying somebody else's problem and we're gonna do nothing but soak money into it. So we have to replace these trucks, but we also have to replace some of this other stuff.
Mhm.
It's gotta be pieced in somewhere, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Whether $100,000 comes out of that account, that leaves 100 to piece in. Whether it's one of these pieces, or it's both of these pieces, depending what you find as far as used.
Mhm.
So again, I'm always looking for something used. When I said I talked to that dealer today, yeah, they have one that was on their rental fleet. It's a 2020. Yeah, we can buy that for 40 or almost 40 some $1,000s cheaper by buying that one that's used compared to
What-
buying a new one.
What is that thing?
That's a mower.
Oh, more.
So I talked to them today. That mower they have on their rental fleet, they are taking out of their rental fleet and replacing it. So right there saves $40,000. I've been spinning in my head trying to, again, we've ordered this truck that is supposed to be here this year, but may not be here this year. If I could get an honest answer from the dealership that truck 1 ton isn't gonna show up until next year, those two pieces of equipment are the same money. So to save the town $40,000, I would actually replace that mower this year and then just swap the truck to next year, and it saves us.
We do know and we really appreciate how you've been doing.
Right.
This, so,
So,
but you know, just whether
So-
we decide to do it leasing or outright, that's a parallel discussion that we'll just have to have with the board and figure it out. you know.
right.
And we do realize the pressure that all of this puts on you.
So that's where I'm at on that line. Is that line enough? No, it's never gonna be enough. We're never gonna put enough money in that
Right,
account.
right.
You know, everybody knows it. Everybody knows where I'm gonna be, so, but you asked for what is up to be replaced. That truck is on there. Again, at another time, we'll have another meeting, but yeah, I mean, me and Mark talked last week about how this supply line is and in the years it's taken to get these bigger trucks. That yes, we have one truck ordered. And that won't be here till next year, and we're actually gonna have to get on a conversation about putting our name in there for a truck, 4 years down the road,
Yep,
which.
yeah.
When we all kind of sat into this, we never thought it'd be something we'd have to do, but that's where we're at. We're ordering equipment 4 years ahead of time, so. That said,
Okay.
that will leave our current truck, will be even older than the ones that we've been trying to replace by the time that truck comes around to be replaced, so.
Our current, first purchase.
Right, so Mark asked the question and it was great because we talked about. Kind of replacing this stuff before warranties ran out. But as we stand right now, I still have one older truck that we still have to replace before we can even think about replacing. Our first existing trucks, so.
Unless it would make sense to do that even before that point.
I mean, on one hand, it would be great because we could kind of hold ourselves to getting rid of that. While the warranty's gone, but meanwhile. Excuse me, we still have that remaining older truck that's doing nothing but soaking money out of that repair account, so. For me, I'm trying to just weigh it out, and yeah, I guess if I gotta keep one of those newer trucks, a year or two longer than that warranty. We still gotta replace the old stuff out of the fleet, that's. I mean, again, we've had that conversation, those are the.
And so
There's
what-
6 essential pieces of equipment that have to,
highway equipment, highway, like associate or not, local roads or, there has to be a sweet spot. For when it's best to sell, or to rotate,
But the sweet spot's always moving. It's not
It's
a
in-
sweet spot.
but it's gotta
not-
be in kind of a little bit of a range,
It
right?
is.
It wouldn't
Yeah,
be,
it
after
is.
year one would be ridiculous.
No.
And maybe after
I mean,
12 years is.
realistically, if you talk to the state and you talk to them about their plow trucks, they wanna replace their plow trucks in 5 years. We can't financially do it. We've sat down and put it on paper. It doesn't I would love it. It'd be great. But it's not financially,
But I mean, in terms of financial, there's gotta be a sweet spot where.
we come out to our financial one. Kind of in that 7 to 10 years was our
Right,
kind of financial sweet spot where it come out. On paper. But can we do that physically is the next question, and it's.
if it
You know what might
pencils
be
out.
helpful if you, when we have two new board members who weren't here
Hmm,
for those discussions. I don't know,
Right,
if
so-
it'd be easy for you to redistribute that information.
I think I still have.
we have it.
I mean, I have the old stuff, but if you look at it, it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
But I don't think
that'll
it makes
give
sense,
them,
but
that'll give
I mean, if
Michelle and Kate a sense of the history.
you guys wanted to sit down sometime, I'd be more than happy to kind of go through. Kind of where we were at when we started and where we got to and where I'm looking at taking it. And
I
it would
remember
make more
the
sense.
presentation that Todd gave about the.
Yep,
Is that
so
what
that
you're
was kind of,
talking about?
that was kind of at the end of it when Todd did
Okay.
that,
Mhm.
But there was kind of a whole bunch of stuff that kind of happened in the beginning.
Yeah.
Kind of got us to put all this stuff together,
So
so.
Michelle, basically, the nuts and bolts are that when Bobby started as highway supervisor, there was absolutely no truck rotation schedule. Yeah.
It was just kind of up in the air and
Basically, everything was driven into the ground and then kind of a scramble, so,
The average truck was 19, 20 years old.
Wow,
so
we
we
still
had a
have
lot of
20.
improvements in a very, very short time.
we still have,
So
right now, one of our
We're
frontline
gonna
trucks is
schedule
20.
Another workshop,
I think that's a good idea.
I gotta.
Yeah, I do
cut it
wanna-
short now.
Yeah.
Are you good, Bob? Can we,
Yeah, I'm good. Like I said, the only number we changed was the one account. You just asked the question about equipment that
yeah,
was looking
thank
to be
you.
replaced, so.
I think that's,
It's the stuff that I would love to replace and I'll
Right,
do my
that's
best
So-
to kind of get it through there.
that'll be ongoing. So we will get Michelle and Kate, and maybe all of us, but to refresh her, but the spreadsheets that,
Yeah.
that can, and then have discussions from there. So
But yeah,
when should we have the next budget meeting? I was thinking about this with like. Maybe that wouldn't work now that I think about it.
Do you anticipate having just one more?
I would like that.
Yeah. Make changes about that, get
Yeah, I'm worried about the 19th because it's kind of a full meeting. But maybe we could do some, you
I'm gone on the 19th, coming back to the
think it's too much, right?
town
Okay.
board meeting,
Say what?
coming back on the 19th
Right,
for the board meeting in the evening, but I won't be here
before then.
before the evening, that's right.
Well, let's.
What do we
maybe-
have, just quickly, so what we have left to deal with, if we had a separate meeting, is pretty much justice, I think, right?
I believe so. If,
Do we need to have a special meeting for that, or can that be done?
for justice?
for the
for
court.
the court.
Oh,
for the
okay,
court.
right.
Oh, sorry, yeah, justice.
I mean.
I know, I'm in favor of
They
justice.
don't, I guess we make that overture, but, I think you guys know the discussions. It's like,
The last time we had them come give us a budget presentation, we got a lecture and it had nothing to do with the budget.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they would come and talk the budget or not, I just don't know.
I thought they were okay last year.
Anyway, so I would say. October 19th, maybe we think about the next budget meeting after that date, like the next week. And then we have it lined up to adopt
if you,
in November.
I can't do the 24th.
Well, what about the 21st?
Association.
But you've already done yours, so we would need to come.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, there is one thing I would like to sit on was that we talked about a 3%, and when I said
Right.
3% was across the board. We've had conversations, I haven't been able to have a conversation with the rest of the board, but I've had a conversation with you, so. I know there's been some discussion kind of.
And we had it today, right?
No, I mean, I'm not.
I had to go.
Yeah.
So we can talk about this when you end the recording. it's fine.
That's what we need
So-
to have a date, right?
Well, they have to adjourn.
We have to adjourn.
I can't.
Let's adjourn. We'll set the next budget meeting at the October 19th meeting.
Okay,
And if we have time in that meeting, we'll work on it, but I doubt it. In the meantime, I will send the justices a note about. And, solicit questions and see, we'll have a better idea of
Good.
what they want to do. So,
Great.
great. So I will make a motion to adjourn our budget number 1 meeting, and thank you.
I'll second it.
Second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thanks.
Thanks.